Hi, I'm Matt with City NC Trading, and I want to talk a little bit about our systemic enzymes. So this is a relatively new product for us, and we've been getting a lot of questions about what enzymes are and what they do and all that kind of stuff. So I'll dive into that. Before I do, I just wanted to kind of give a little disclaimer. We're not doctors or medical professionals. We're just people who, my wife and I, we run City NC Trading. We've been married for 26 years. We both turned 50 this year, last week for me, and then Judita in a couple months. And for 26 years, we've just been, nonstop listening to multiple medical lectures a day, podcasts, researching PubMed. We had a bunch of our own health problems that were not getting solved by, let's say a standard visit to the doctor or something like that. And so we really had to address these problems on our own and dive in and figure out solutions. And so we're just people who love knowledge. We love to share knowledge, and we're not giving, a diagnosis or treatment or anything like that. We're just sharing knowledge with you, and hopefully that knowledge helps you the way it's helped us. And that's, I guess, what life's all about as far as I'm concerned, is just all of us sharing the best information we have to try to make everybody else better. So what are enzymes? So enzymes are basically, if you're alive, then enzymes are part of the process of your body and your functionality. So our gut makes enzymes to help dissolve food. Some enzymes dissolve carbohydrates. Some enzymes dissolve fats. Our liver makes enzymes that dissolve fats throughout the body and throughout our system, which is kind of the more systemic enzyme. So there's, let's see, where would I say, let's dive into the inflammation mechanism, or maybe healing and inflammation mechanisms in the body. So you get an injury, you get a scrape, you get a cut, the body makes a scab that covers that. So that is a fibrin response. Fibrin is made in the body. It is a protein called fibrinogen that comes out of the liver. That there's a polymerization process that happens that turns that into fibrin, which is like a grid of protein that almost think like a, you see an alien movie and there's like a weird grid of alien something over an egg or a person or something like that. That's sort of what this fibrin does, is it goes over a wound like that. So we've all seen a scab, and that makes sense, but let's think about an artery. You've got your blood flow going into your heart, and you hear these things said his artery was calcified and he had a heart attack or whatever. So that process would start with, you've got inflammation, a big inflammation point in the artery, which is from what? That's going to be from all the toxic food. So say you're eating a ton of fried food, you're eating French fries all the time, polyunsaturated fats, which oxidize very easily with heat and with moisture, which is what the human body is. So you've got these oxidized fats, they go and they're not getting processed properly by the liver, and they end up, depositing in different places in the body. And so you get a point of inflammation all of a sudden because of this issue and many other, toxic issues that come into the body. You can also be injuries that are just chronic and we don't deal with them. And so over time, the body starts creating this fibrin to try to cover up this point of inflammation. So, you've got this inflammation point, the body's creating fibrin, this kind of scab to reinforce the inflamed area, and it keeps building up and up and up, and then that's collecting bad calcium if you're not consuming, if you have water supply is probably one of the number one places you're going to get non-bioavailable calcium from, and so that's starting to collect on there too. Also, iron can be very toxic if it's the wrong source of iron, and so you're getting iron and calcium. All this garbage is piling up, and it's grabbing on, being collected by the fibrin, and that gets more and more built up until eventually it blocks that artery, and now you're cutting off blood flow to the heart and you have a heart attack. So where do systemic enzymes come in? The body creates enzymes naturally to go out and to break down that fibrin that it creates. But what happens if that inflammation never leaves? If you don't get rid of the inflammation because you haven't changed the diet or you haven't solved this, chronic injury problem? A good example is for me, my lower back. I've, been skateboarding and surfing my whole life. I've got all kinds of lower back injuries. The body creates fibrin that goes and starts to cover up those injuries and kind of try to deal with that. Well, that's cutting off blood flow and oxygen to, all the areas in my lower back, and now I've got this chronic pain that never goes away, and the body keeps thinking it needs more fibrin, rather than breaking all that stuff down. So if I don't solve the root problem of that injury, I've got chronic inflammation all over my body. So that's even thinking about fibromyalgia. What is fibromyalgia? It's inflammation in the joints and the skin and all these areas, and the body's creating this fibrin, and this inflammation's never going away. So you have to change the diet. You have to address the core problems of what's causing that inflammation. So systemic enzymes are incredible because this goes out into the body and it begins to melt away all of that garbage. And the effects of that are profound. I mean, and visible also. So, you know, for me at 50, having surfed my whole life, I barely wear sunscreen, if any, now, and I surf a lot in the tropics and stuff. I've gotten all the garbage out of my body. I take the high-dose enzymes, and it's helped to clear up my skin. And I had age spots, you know, what we call age spots or liver spots or age pigment, where I was starting to get these big brown, you know, almost as big as my fingernail, that were forming on my temples. I've got none now, and it took a year of taking the enzymes and then also vitamin E and not eating polyunsaturated fats to start breaking all that stuff down. And at about 6 months, I was like, is that fading? Because it looks like it is. And then, you know, a year later, it was almost completely gone. So I've really seen these work personally, and it's very cool. So, you know, how did I approach dosing this? At first, the first dose was... when I first get it, what I recommend to people is maybe get 3 months worth, you know, 2 or 3 months worth, and hit it hard. So that's going to be 6 to 9 pills per night. You know, after dinner, empty stomach. Drink it down with water. It doesn't cause any like upset stomach or anything like that. I suppose it could, you know, depending upon how, you know, crowded up things are, how bloated you feel, it could cause some gas or different things like that. So you could maybe lower the dosage until you just get over that and it breaks down that stuff in the body and you get rid of it. But what I would recommend is 6 to 9 pills per night for a couple months, just to fast track the body into getting rid of all the garbage. After that, I go down to a maintenance dosage where I'd say about 4 or 5 days a week. I just take 3 of these, you know, 2 or 3 of them before bed, and I've just been sustaining that for a couple of years now. So it was really only the first year that I was hitting them like really hard, and even then just the first few months of that first year. So that's what I recommend if you've got skin issues, if you've got, you know, inflammation issues and everything. And, you know, again, obviously we're a CBD company. That's kind of how we started. That's kind of how we got to be known. We have great organic, natural CBD products. If you start mixing the anti-inflammation benefits of the CBD with the anti-inflammation benefits of systemic enzymes, that is a pretty amazing combination to address all these aches and pains. And again, give it a chance. It's got to be a couple months of consistency doing this, and all of a sudden you start to notice, like, wow, I'm starting to feel pretty good. Also, I mentioned vitamin E. Vitamin E goes hand in hand, I think, with the enzymes, because on the front end, our bodies have trouble processing polyunsaturated fats, which those are omega-3s, and they're just in everything. I mean, those are all the vegetable and seed oils you see everywhere. And if you do a little research, I know, you know, everybody like, oh, it's essential oil, you got to take these things, but do a little research, look up, and I'll put some links, you know, below in the video here. But look up lipid peroxidation, yellow fat disease, fatty liver disease, and look up the cause of those things. And it's always polyunsaturated fat oxidizing in the body and then causing a deficiency in vitamin E. So vitamin E helps to process these oils, and it aids the liver in that process. And then the enzymes help to break it down. So what's so cool is these are systemic enzymes, so they will go into the body and they will break down all over the body throughout your system. They will break down garbage that shouldn't be in there. So it's part of it aids and boosts our detoxifying mechanism. But there's also anti-inflammatory benefits to some of these enzymes. I'll post studies to that again. And then also, what's very cool about this particular formula and why we love it so much is there is digestive enzymes in here also that address not only digesting and breaking down carbs, but also digesting and breaking down fats. So we've got a few people that have like irritable bowel syndrome and Crohn's and different things like that, and they've been getting like amazing benefits from this for that stuff, which isn't really not what we intended. We were kind of more addressing the systemic issue of breaking everything down, but it's awesome that you get a side order of, you know, better digestion. And then also your, you know, bowel movements and the texture of the bowel movements is, I think, enhanced, greatly improved. So definitely, if you try it, shoot us a text or email, DM, I guess, through the Instagram and stuff, and just let us know how it's doing for you. So before I wrap up here, I thought it'd be kind of cool to just drop a couple studies and at least highlight a couple things, like where enzymes first came on the radar. There was a doctor, Hans Nieper, a German doctor, and he started treating people who were having strokes and heart attacks and different things like that. And so he was using the enzymes to remove arterial obstructions, and he had a massive reduction in strokes in everybody that he tested with. So he was a big advocate of these things, and that kind of put the enzymes onto the radar, I think, for everyone. So what's super cool is I was looking around, it's like, okay, we got this interesting German doctor, he's doing this stuff with his enzymes. Is there anybody else out there that I could find, that is sort of echoing the same sentiment? And I found a November 14th, 1984 New York Times article, and in this article they talk about heart attack people, and they were actually injecting the enzymes, at the point of the person starting to have a stroke or starting to have a heart attack, and just by injecting the enzymes within 20-30 minutes it was able to break down the garbage in there. So just imagine if you don't wait till you're almost dying and then you have to inject it straight into your heart or whatever. If you just take it in the pill form and break all that stuff down and just keep yourself healthy in the first place. So then I found a whole other on the NIH website, I'll post this as well. There was a whole list of different testing that had been done with the enzymes of different conditions, and then the duration and what the outcome was. And so they had one was like, knee osteoarthritis. And so they had, like they treated things by them with just like a standard pharmaceutical medication or whatever, and then they added the enzymes to it also. And so they found with 5 months of with arthritis in the knee, with adding the enzymes, there was a large reduction in pain, and there was a low level of tumor necrosis factor. There was acne. So with acne, they were treating the acne with the typical, acne gel or different things that were going to help that. But when they combined the therapy with the systemic enzymes, it showed significant rapid improvement in the acne appearance, which is pretty awesome. Also with teeth, post-operative pain and swelling after removal of molars. And by adding the Serrapeptase, it showed moderate analgesic activity and lowered swelling compared to people who didn't take those. So also, what was the other one that I thought was really cool? Swelling of the ankle produced by supination. I don't even know what supination is, but it says here after 5 months, swelling decreased by 50% over the people who didn't take the enzymes. So those are like real life cases that are all recorded on mainstream medical testing websites and medical journals and stuff like that, just showing like how powerful this stuff is and what this stuff does. So yeah, we've seen a huge difference in our own lives with our skin, and also when you start breaking down and getting the polyunsaturated fat and the bad iron and calcium out of the skin and out of different parts of the body, guess what? Your skin becomes more resilient to sunlight, and it becomes more of what I think our skin was designed to be, which is a vitamin D collecting mechanism. So we spend a lot of time in the tropics down in Costa Rica, and we rarely wear sunscreen. If I go surfing maybe at 12 noon, I'll put a little bit on my nose and just around my eyes or something, but I'm kind of getting to the point where I don't even need to do that too much. I'm amazed at how resilient my skin is, and then I've got less wrinkles. And I think overall I think I'm looking pretty good for 50 years old, and that's been my goal. Is I love aging. Actually, I love the maturity, the knowledge, all the positive things that come with aging. The negative things, I don't want my body to decline. I want to keep surfing. I want to keep being active. I don't want to lose my hair, and so my hair. Most of the men in my family are bald. And I think that doing these different things, the enzymes, and getting the garbage, toxins, polyunsaturated fat, lipofuscin, which is a result of polyunsaturated fat, getting those things out of the skin, you're not clogging up the follicles and the pores, my hair is not turning gray, so all the way around, I think the enzymes for me would be like one of my top 3 supplements, most essential things that I think everyone should be taking if you're serious about fighting inflammation, aging, keeping your skin healthy, keeping the gut healthy, and everything else. So yeah, hopefully that is helpful information. Thanks so much for listening, and have a good day.